The start of the project, we didn't expect that it would take such a turn halfway through the year, as it did. The challenge was how to make magic carpets happen without travel, without physical contact, without face-to-face communication. It's really difficult. There was a fear about working with local communities and how to fulfill that sort of requirement of the whole project. For us to reflect on this in third year is very important because we cannot hide from the fact that this year is very different. The idea was to employ or to ask local photographers and videographers to document. We prepared together with the documentary team a methodology of documentation. So it's going to be, I think, a surprise for all of us what it's going to look like in the end.
In Innsbruck, I'm developing a project which makes use of scores and invites other artists to collaborate together with me, creating sound material which will be used for final performance organized by Heart of Noise Festival. I'm always working with rising my sonic awareness. So sometimes I discover many hidden practices or everyday activities going on in a specific spot, which is maybe not really interesting at all, but from a sonic perspective it is, and maybe this is why my attention focuses on that. I think as we all experience through the pandemic period, working collaboratively was maybe harder than before because we had to reconsider so many habits we were used to. It's easy to just give solutions to problems. It's more about reflecting on how the current times are changing. So maybe these projects can help us facing future times, which for sure are gonna, change the way we behave, change the way we work together. So it was always an invitation to to think about how collaborative work could continue and could evolve and could reframe maybe.
As a photographer, I was mainly shaped by cinema and almost a decade of traveling around the world. For me, it was always about breaking stereotypes and discovering things for myself. I was curious to see life from all kinds of different angles. My work usually speaks about the human condition, rebellion and pride, and aims to demystify the unknown. So when I was invited to Rome to work with Latitudo Art Projects on a photo series about the district of Corviale, it almost seemed like the project was designed specifically for myself because it featured so many things that I loved about photography and storytelling. The location was fascinating, the people living there had a strong character, the whole place seemed surreal and haunting. It almost felt like it was not supposed to exist. On top of that, the theme was loosely based on Pasolini's book The Street Kids, from which we drew a lot of inspiration, and especially the dark black and white aesthetics. It was sort of an attempt to find the Pasolini's street kids in the present day.
Tra Beethoven e un tiro il senso di stanchezza tipo in hangover. Dopo il lavoro vedo gente in giro. Without my mama il tempo non scorre, mi sembra infinito. Un'ebbrezza che non vedo ma sento colludito. Con le cuffie il tempo riscorre come fosse tutto un istante costante ma di sfuggito. E sento la malinconia nel petto, come a non sentirmi protetto dal mondo in quel tempo non basta. Problema di completa felicità ed equilibrio fra il mio essere e apparire.
So Mary Conroy is an Irish artist, and we invited her to do a Magic Carpets residency, and unfortunately due to the pandemic she couldn't travel to see us, and so her project What Are You Made Of Folkestone, she was inviting people to take pictures of the fabric of Folkestone so that she could get a sense of what the town is made of.
People were doing what I would have been doing if I was there. You know, that's exactly, I would have been wandering around, taking a few photographs, looking at things, you know. I can live vicariously through the citizens to begin to understand how people see the city and get people to look at it a bit harder as well, to look at these things and maybe for them to understand their own city a bit better.
We're working really collaboratively. I almost feel a little bit like I've been Mary's like surrogate body. But I actually feel like that's fostered quite a nice relationship between us.
The insanity of the colonialism, the rottenness, the small hands of a child, severed, separated from the body. I can't breathe. The inversion of the things to come, when by the tall waves the stones ride upon the palaces, the rose that grew from concrete. If it makes me kneel, it's not my God.
With all this coronavirus, all this pandemic situation that we are still living in, it was impossible to work in Berlin. It was impossible to continue with the idea that I had in the beginning. It was about researching, knowing, and working with collectives in Berlin, with the Black feminists and Afro-descendants collective in Berlin, with the Afro-Deutsch woman
in Berlin, and it was impossible to do it during the quarantine because people were inside of their homes. They had to be inside, had to rethink the project and to create something different.
Black Madonna, where are you, my queen? I'm too tired to die. I don't die anymore.
And it was really this strange time, being all the time inside of my place, my apartment. So my process was writing. I was writing all the time. I was writing a lot. And I decided to write this poem.
We are talking about power, historic, juridical, institutional, structural power, racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, nationalism, colonial patriarchy, white supremacy, colorblindness, bias, and repeat. Alleluia, alleluia.
It's about the times that we are living. So it's mine, but it's not just mine, it's our.
Yes, yes.
I am a Croatian artist working mainly in the film and new media field. The project that I'm working on for my residency in Sloan is in the phase of filming. Vlad is my filmmaker that is given to me to be my extended eye in Sloan, since I am not able to travel to go there myself. We explore this village with me looking through the eyes of Vlad and kind of navigating him around the place to tell him what is of some sort of interest for me. Gather as much information as possible for me to get an idea of the place, and basically trying to portray the place for me as realistically as possible. And I asked him to film some details which were interesting for me on the first sight. People gather around or have a certain movement. And in this way, we conceptualized our filming on being either very intense on the details. I asked Vlad to ask some of the locals that are different age ranges, from children to the elderly. These interviews will serve as the skeleton between these extremely detailed and extremely wide deformed shots, to give it a storytelling format in which you hear these stories, but you never actually fully get the total picture, because it is impossible for me to give a full picture without having the experience of actually being there, but still to have this kind of abstract mix of information that still serves as this audiovisual postcard or film card that I am able to construct based on my experience in this version of the residency.
We didn't want the artists and culture professionals to suddenly stop working and not to produce anything because we were all sitting at home. But to give them the platform and provide them with opportunities to create something in limited, conditions, in restricted conditions, but still to work with communities, to produce new artworks. We managed to achieve this, although we had so many, difficulties. This year has kind of shown that if we stick together and if we have the same goal in our heads that we want to achieve, that in the end, no matter what the situation or the circumstances, we're going to make this project happen.